The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back, NHRA Nitro, and we are getting closer and closer to the official start of the 2025 NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season, the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Not far off, and we've got a kind of a yearly tradition here on WFO Radio. We connect with Ron Capps. You know, Ron has been in the news, picking up the big win out there at the SCAG PRO Superstar Shootout. We're going to talk to Ron about the season to come, about his success, about the statement that they made and what he thinks all about it. We're going to talk a little bit about that, maybe wrap up the Super Bowl a little bit, see what Ron has to say. Got a lot going on. If you're new to WFO Radio, we ask you to stick around. If you love drag racing of any kind, I think you will love hearing about the pinnacle of drag racing. That is the NHRA Mission Foods Series, Nitro Cars, Pro Stock Motorcycle, and the Lucas Oil Series. Now, those of you that follow the show on a regular basis might notice something a little different about today's show. And I will be very honest, we're catching up with Ron a little earlier than our normal time slot. And there's a bunch of reasons. He's traveling, and I am in absolute thrash mode with Project Pontiac. We are trying desperately to make the first Lucas Oil Series event of the season at Speed World Orlando. I'll be heading up there a week from Wednesday. And the car is not ready yet. Like, I'm still wiring. We're running cables. We're trying to get it done. And it really is taking every second, every minute, every hour that we have, including midday while there's sun. What do they say about that? Make hay while the sun is shining. And that's what we're trying to do. So hopefully you enjoy the show. You enjoy the archive. And we got Lucas Oil Champions again Wednesday at noon. Before we get to Ron, I just want to tick through the people who make it possible, like the Foggit brand. Foggit available at summit-racingequipment.com. Preserve your engine when you're done racing. Avoid that corrosion. FOGGIT.com. Bernie Speed Shop. How about Josh Hart making the final round? Big return to prominence for Josh. Go to BURNYZZ.com. Head over to Bernie's. The folks at HusseyPerformance.net, not just Copperhead gaskets anymore. They do it all. They get a contingency program. We'll tell you a little bit more about these guys later on after Ron. CWTindustries.com. Balance machines for machine shops. Randy Neal and the company. Balance machines. If it rotates, it can be balanced. You already heard about FTI Performance and Total Seal piston rings. We'll tell you a little bit about Jesse Converters and Matt Latino a little bit later on, but let's bring on Ron Capps. Ron, good morning. Congratulations. Good afternoon.
Morning.
Yeah.
Very early. Good morning, Joe.
We're time shifting today. I'm working on cars, and you got something very vital, like a very important thing you've got to handle, right? Like vital stuff, Ron. What is it?
Birthday trip. Dr. Donnie and Bill Wyndham, it's their birthday this week. So I'm not sure we've had a vacation. My wife and I, we're going to go for 3 days down to Mexico and just celebrate their birthday real quick. Get back home Saturday and watch my teammate Chase Elliott win the Daytona 500, hopefully.
Okay. You're picking Chase? Yeah, I understand why you're picking Chase. Chase is good. Chase is very good.
Or one of our Toyota guys. Yeah. They're all cool.
Chase was good at Bowman Gray. That was kind of an interesting vibe. Kind of similar to what you guys did this past weekend, but let's stay on Bill Wyndham. He and I have got the Pontiac thing in common. Teaser photos of the new funny car.
Pretty cool.
Legends Nitro, going to be back again. I'm hoping really have made a big impression. I know you are, helping behind the scenes, and that teaser shot, Screaming Chicken on the funny car, looks exciting.
Yeah, he just had a brand new car built, and Legends Nitro Series for those on the West Coast that will be going to Phoenix and Pomona, actually. The Legends, which is yeah, I think it's 1972, an older body. So all the ones that you and I saw as a kid, all the old school painted up, really cool, funny cars, they will run at those events as a special. They actually run a race. It's not exhibition. So, and I love being a part of it. It's what I've always done at March Meet and things like that. I love that series. So pretty neat. He had the car. I haven't seen it all yet. I'll see them at the airport here pretty soon. But yeah, I love the old school, you know, most of them aren't even vinyl. It's like when you and I were a kid and they were painted up Chi-Town Hustlers and the Blue Maxes and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
I like the 100% nitro, like sitting on the starting line, like, oh, this is feels like there's a hit there that's a little different.
Big, long, smoky burnouts like we cannot do anymore. They shift them. They're not a lot of downforce compared to ours. They got a little bit of a rear wing, but they're not allowed a whole lot. So it's kind of old school throwback, and fans love them.
Run to 1,000 feet. No, very exciting. And I have been introduced, and those guys have been very welcoming, and I wish them great success, and we want to talk a lot more about them. People love them. The fans love them. It's a great series, Legends Nitro, and very excited. What about Dr. Don? How old, man? Tell us.
God, I don't know. You
don't even know.
We did his 50th birthday down there. He's got to be 53 now.
53.
He actually works. He's grown up. I did his wedding. I got ordained. Gary Selzy style, and I did his wedding, which was last season between Vegas and Pomona, and I was more nervous doing that than I was staging the car in Vegas or Pomona. So yeah, Donnie's all grown up. It's kind of scary.
All grown up, you know, the doctor, but he's still fun. And you know, you and I have that in common. I married Bo and Randy Lynn 2 years ago. Did not have to get ordained because it was in Vegas, but you got ordained because it was not in Vegas. I feel you with the nerves, man. Very, very nerve wracking. Like you could ruin someone's marriage.
You could, yeah, very, very easily. And I took it pretty serious, probably more serious than I think his wife Jennifer and he thought. But hey, it was fun. Glad I did it.
All right, so I want a lot to talk to you about. Making a big statement, 100% of the time, the winner of the SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout goes on to win the NHRA Mission Foods Funny Car Championship. It's 100% of the time so far, Ron.
That's a pretty good record. And in this day and age, man, to beat the Pro car is that's something. So it wasn't even the final round. You know, their car, Austin got out on me, you know. We figured they were going to run 378. The conditions were there. They went 379 the night before. Jimmy's got such a great handle on that car, obviously, from last year. And Guido, we were still sort of testing. We were doing, you know, people hear us testing, and a lot of times you say, okay, like last year we were testing clutch discs and all these things. We were testing a lot for our partners and some of the same people that were involved in the SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout, Callie's crankshafts, comp cams. Guido was testing fuel pumps and clutch discs for Rob Bonifani and Sleeper Bob at Bonifani Friction. So he was trying to still do that. And what was the coolest part of the whole weekend for me, we had a great test. We were one of the quickest cars every session of testing from Tuesday to Thursday. Qualified pretty well. We ended up top 4. But what was cool was on Sunday race day, we were low AT of every round, had lane choice over Beckman and over Proc and everybody on the grounds when it was hot. And so first round was at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It was hot. It was definitely humid, a lot of water grains in the air. And we went 386. Closest to us, I think, was an 87 by Beckman. And then I think Proc also went 87. So I said in my interview there on Flow, I said, my God, if this is the way Funny Car is going to be this year, our fans are in for another treat. It's going to be throwdown awesome. So, you know, had lane choice over Beckman, ran again another 86 and beat Beckman, and he went 87. I think he was right there. The first round, Daniel Wilkerson went like 88 to our 86. So that was a close one. And then we had the final round. I heard Austin did his interview at the other end. Everybody was saying that he said that they were glad he had lane choice going into the final, but when somebody told us that he didn't have it, we actually had it. Guido joked that he was so used to it from last year, he just assumed that they had lane choice. So I think that got into their brain a little bit. You never know. You got to push guys like Jimmy Prock, and that's the way that you have to have a chance to go up there and not let them run free like they did last year. And so I feel like Guido's hard work over the winter time, all the hard testing parts that we did this last weekend for our partners and for us was awesome. But those middle of the day runs were the best.
That's interesting, and I want to press you a little bit more. We're excited for the Amalie Oil Gator Nationals and the start of the season and all these different things that are happening. There is now a regular season bonus. You know, are we going to call it a regular season champion? Or are we going to call it the guy who gets the money? I don't know. But you and I had some conversations last year off the cuff. I'd like to bring them to the surface. I think you've mentioned things like this, which is, I wish we could have fought them harder last year. You saw what Austin did. You saw what Jimmy was doing. They had an amazing season, unprecedented in many ways. And you just like a athlete who maybe is coming off an injury and can't really like give it that 100% push. You seemed like you felt, and you knew, and you told us, working on clutch discs, dealing with a new disc, dealing with new metal, learning again. And by the end of the season, by the U.S. Nationals, you were much more competitive. And now you guys race, you're more competitive. Do you feel that your team is in position now where you can go at the Proc Rocket 100% and mix it up with those guys in 25?
Well, I think so. You know, I did last year, even though we were still, there weren't runs, very many that I really felt like, oh, we don't have a chance. I still always feel like every run we're there. And we were still mentioned in the championship run, even through the summer months, and we were struggling bad. So that was cool still to hear you and the announcers talking about it, Loans and everybody. I feel much better because Guido's got a little more handle on what's going on, and he can almost predict and tell me what it's going to run. And that's what we won the back-to-back championships a couple years ago. That's how it was. He would tell me almost to the T what he thought it was going to run. It was fun. I also love it that he came out of the trailer before the final. He says, we're going to have to go 80 flat or 378. Or he said 379 because they're probably going to run 378. And I was like, God, I love racing with Guido. Like, we're going to do it during the day and we're going to get down the track and we're going to push him. But when it comes throwdown time, we know what Jimmy's going to do. And I said it, you know, in my interview as well. That's still, to me, that's Robert Height's car. And I've had so many great, and the fans, I think, also know the great championship runs, Hagen and I and Robert Height, and you go down the list of. But battling for championships it's always been that team and Robert and Jimmy Prock. And you always had to go through that car every weekend and every championship run. So Robert and I always had, we raced each other very fair. We got up there, did our thing, and let the crew chiefs do their speaking, and just some epic battles between him and I, and always a shaking hands. And I go over and tell those guys right off the bat, win or lose, how they pushed us. So I knew that car, and Austin's brought a different element to it, of course. And so they're going to be tough, but we have to push them. And it was tough last year, like you mentioned. It was like fighting with one hand tied behind your back. And it was a bummer. And in big picture, it was better. We had to get better, but it was tough to watch him just run over everybody all season long. So can't say that we can run with him performance-wise exactly yet, but we'll see. Guido's working on it.
Okay, so they went 341 at the finals. They got all those accolades. Now they start the season with a 79-1, the quickest run ever. Can you guys run a 70? That's the only car that's run 70s. Can you guys run a 70? Do you think you could run a 70?
Yeah, we went low 80s, and it had two cylinders out before, probably 850 feet. So Guido was kind of laughing at it. He was experimenting with a fuel pump, and then Rob Bonifani was there. We were playing with different cutters and floater issues that they were going through, trying to figure out where the power was going to put down. And I love going up in the lounge and listening to what the mechanical side of those things, and then knowing what's going to happen in the car. Definitely we can run it. I mean, we went low 83, and it had two cylinders out at 812 feet, and still went 333 on that run. We ended up going 336 on another run. So yes, absolutely can do it. And I'm not sure when we'll see those conditions weather-wise, which race, but I can't wait.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing about Bradenton And much the way it was in West Palm Beach, you're in early February, so the weather is a little different. You're right at sea level, maybe even below. Yes, there's water grains because you're right on the water, but it's not exactly applicable to the racing you'll be doing in the season, but certainly learned a lot. And that's one thing. I went over there on Thursday and picking up some tires for Project Pontiac and my own little racing experiment we got going, in case you did not know. Saw you for a second. You were hanging with the fans, right? And so I didn't want to like interrupt your conversation with the fans, not for you, but for them, right? Like they get to hang out with Ron Capps, and who's this guy coming in to just like, you got to get up and out of the way. I would never do that. But what a vibe to start the season. And what I'm noticing, and I had a couple of conversations with Slugger from Toyota, and this group test, like I'm wondering, is more learned. Like you got all your Toyota teammates around there. You got the Toyota guys. It's a group test, like all this stuff. He was telling me a little bit about the mud flaps coming off the Top Fuel dragsters and how that's kind of a, like, why is that there still? Like, let's try to take them off. Oh my gosh. Like we've just been putting them back on these cars because they've always been there. That kind of group learning, a little different than solo testing. Can you talk a little bit about that? Everybody being there, kind of running these processes and learning.
Yeah, I think yesterday I posted something on our Toyota. People were there. We got there Monday and we started testing Tuesday, like a lot of teams did. Our Toyota track people, our engineers, the two guys, they were at the track Monday. And when we left the winter circle, they were still there taking pictures with us and waiting on us to take a winter circle picture. And they're there in the morning early and last to leave. And it's been that way. You heard me brag on Toyota when they came on board that year, our first year of ownership. We went on to win a championship. But when they came on board that Charlotte race, it was like F1 type stuff compared to Super Comp. The amount of data, the amount of willingness to do anything and everything, the technology trailer at the track, Slugger and Paul Dolishall and Brent and Mike and all the guys that we deal with. It is unbelievable, the amount of support. And I know the fans, I still get a little bit of crap, switching after all those years, but I tell people all the time, there's a reason when you're at a stoplight and look around and there's Toyotas everywhere you look on the street. It's a great company, and they move that right into the drag racing. So it's a bummer that they possibly pulling out next year. Slugger especially is very much in the wind tunnel a lot. The Roush bodies that we get, and RevChem, who's one of our sponsors, provides all the stuff, but it's such a great group effort. So it's funny how a lot of these funny cars are still like I had a Supercross was racing in town too, and there were a couple of guys there, and I was explaining the steering wheel, the butterfly wheel, and all this stuff on a funny car and the wheelbase, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much the same as it was in 1967. There's a lot of things the same, yet a lot of things have changed. So it's just it's a group effort, man, and there's so much going on. And like Slugger, it's really fun to hear him call from the wind tunnel and tell us this or that they found on a cup car and how it might work with our car. And so Guido loves that. He did that at John Force's for years throughout the 4 days and the Chevy days. Guido was the one working on that a lot. So it's nice to have that part in our camp as well.
Well, you said possibly whether they go or they don't go. I hope they if that's possible, they could stay. But what would that mean for your team? Would you got bodies, you got everything you need. Have you learned what you need to learn from those guys?
Well, it's great because J.R. Todd's car, and Dell was there, right, with Bodie, who's been a Toyota guy for a long time. And really the only other funny car has been J.R. Todd. So we talk a lot, Slugger's back and forth, and it's a great communication between our two teams. With Jono, now Dickie Venables is down there. That's the other thing. When we had a group call with Toyota when they announced that they weren't coming back in 26. I mean, they were emphasized that it's all hands on deck. It's the same thing all this season. I'm not sure how many manufacturers, if they announced they were leaving the sport, don't just go, all right, we're out of here. Give us our tow vehicle back. Give us your car at home, whatever you're driving. And it tells you the type of people we have at Toyota Racing. And So 2 more bodies. We're getting even at the end of this season, going into next year, which they supposedly, won't be in the sport involved at the same level. So we're able to keep our Sequoia, and it's going to be, you never know. We've had the talk. They've got some new people up top, and you just never know. They might, we'd love to keep them on in the sport at whatever capacity, but you never know.
Corporations are allowed to change their mind as well. And certainly a lot of people's, not everybody's mind has been changed, but a lot of people has. All right. What's up with the new look? There's white on the car. Not normally. I think it looks pretty good. How do we come to this?
Wait till you see Gainesville. It is going to be so bizarro for people to see our car in Gainesville. We'll announce it here in a couple of weeks. But so that car, the last few years at DSR, I was able to start designing the car in the off season, and Mike Reardon, who used to lead the motorsports there, started allowing me to do that. Of course, Catherine Wooten, who came into Napa and is now running all the sponsorship, and her and Brandon Schroeder, it's been a fun process for me with Dave Merrick. He designed the Hot Wheels car with me in a bar on a napkin. The Army car we did last year on a bar, on a napkin in a bar. But he does our cars every year. And so it's been fun. We get about 20 of them. We sit down, we start going over it, and we narrow it down and send it off to Napa. And this year, I've never had a predominantly white, light colored car. And Chase Elliott, my teammate, has had one at Hendricks the last few years. They've always run the same kind of looking car. So we thought, let's just switch it up a little bit. Let's try something different. So move the Napa back on the car a little bit. It's got the cool little Napa Racing swooshes on it. We've got some new partners we're going to be announcing. It's got a nice area there in the front, right above our partners there. And we added F3, who's on the car now this year, the energy drink, which we've got a lot more cool stuff coming up. So that was kind of that whole vibe. Let's try something and maybe lean towards what Chase Elliott and those guys have done.
I like it. All right. So, we don't want to keep you forever, but I got more questions. But since we're on this topic, I saw RevCam and you got some sponsors coming on. And it wasn't that long ago where it was like, oh my gosh, going out on our own. And are we going to make it? And can you even make it? And do these guys know what they're doing? And you don't have a big business. Are you making it? Is this team making it? Like, is this what's happening? Ron Capps, the owner. Like, is this thing, you got escape velocity? Are you guys going to make it to space?
God, every single day I got so much more respect for the Cruz Pedregons and Wilkersons and all the guys that have done it throughout this years. It's hard, Joe. Nitro Racing, we hit the ground and went back-to-back world championships and won a championship my first year's ownership. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or not looking back, because it was like, wow. And we've kept things close to DSM and our parts and all the stuff, because Guido was very involved with DSR and making cylinder heads and manifolds and all the stuff that we still run. So we lease a spot in that shop still. So that was important. But we've been adding partners. Paul Mecca, who's my longtime friend and our team manager, and was with me at DSR, he's been on it, man. We added F3 that came on board through our Napa friends. And then Carlisle Tools, you're going to hear more over there. Yes. More about them. They're coming back. A lot of our fans remember they were on our car. They're doing a rebranding, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year. We're going to have, that's one of our Gainesville teasers, but a lot of fun stuff for our fans. And it's tough to make it. I won't lie to you. It's in here in my brain to get all that stuff out when I'm driving is very tough. It's my wife and I, and we've got a slew of, we got 4 women pretty much that run Ron Capps Motorsports. And, Paul and I just try to handle the day to day, but the biggest thing is Guido, who handles everything race car. We're adding the dragster next year in 2026 with Maddi Gordon, and we've already got partners interested in funding that car completely. So still working on things, but it's just growing, and it's not an easy thing. We have these talks in the pro meetings and with Glenn, president NHRA, and Brad and all the people there on how to make it better and how we can survive a little easier in the sport, because it's not an easy thing to do. And I got more, much more respect of course, Connie Coletta and Force and DSR and all the multi-car teams. What they've done is amazing, but we're still a single car team. That's it. So if I didn't have Guido and Mecca and my wife and family, it would be a no-brainer. We wouldn't be out there.
Okay. And you keep bringing up stuff, right? The Maddi Gordon thing. let's put that on the back. Let's let that simmer for a second and talk about Glenn and NHRA coming up with this regular season bonus fund, because I believe that those two are connected to what we just talked about, right? Like, businesses like yours have to be able to survive, or there's no drag racing, because Connie Coletta is a one of a kind. He's a one of a kind. And Don Schumacher was a one of a kind. They were captains of industry. They built giant businesses that were successful. You're more like the John Force model, right? Professional drag racer and trying to make it. How big a deal is that? People were clamoring for it. Steve Torrance was talking about it for years. Like, what's the point of finishing first at the U.S. Nationals? You really get like a 10-point lead. Big deal. Now there's bonus money, and it makes it.
How much? Have they announced the money?
I think it's over $100,000.
Where'd you see that at?
NHRA Media, man.
Hey, we're live. You can't cut this out.
I'm going to we're not live.
None of us have seen how much. It's great.
Yeah. Okay.
We battled to win that because the points are so important, but it's just another step. We've had talks with NHRA. They need to have people working on their end as hard as we work on our end to help get better funded. And they're working, and we're trying to work with them. It's not easy. It's what NASCAR did with their teams. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and you have to keep the fan experience what it is. And NHRA is the best. Brag about it all the time. So those things are all great, but it is not easy to make it. I get calls routinely, chat at Coletta's, whatever I need help-wise. If they got a part or something that they can help me, which they do. John Force still calls all the time. Hey, kid, you need anything? What do you need? We crashed the car in Seattle, and I had Bill Miller and probably 10 of our partners called and said, hey, I know you got invoices with us. You got parts. We want you to be okay. Make sure you're okay on our end. If you want to add 30 days to paying this or that. That doesn't sound like much to the fans listening right now, but that is a huge thing because the cash flow. And on top of it, we didn't have a great season. Napa is an incredible sponsor, but you rely a little bit on things here and there and the car doing well. And we were just big picture, and little things like that. It's just a small business. It's like somebody opening a candle making business or an auto parts garage or a shop down the street from your house that has the auto care up there. That's what's great about being with Napa is I talk to these people that it's their livelihood. They wake up in the morning and it's about all they can do to be better at what they do that day. And I'm a small business owner. I just happen to be the coolest sport, business wise that you could be in. So thank God I've got Napa and we got some cool stuff, like I said, with Maddi.
Okay, we'll get to that, but here's the number. It's the announcement was from NHRA, a $25 million purse over the course of the season, pretty much everything included, which is a big, huge number, but a $400,000 increase across the four categories to win the season championship. Now, I don't know how they're going to do it exactly. Like, is it first place gets, what should it be, Ron? There's $400,000 to distribute amongst first place over the four categories. Who gets what, Ron?
Listen, I love that they came out with all that, but the announcement was that amount, the $25 million, and it was over the purse of everything. We had a lot of categories.
400,000 to the winners of the regular season champions.
I don't think it's regular season. I think it's the whole championship. But if it is, oh my God. It says
regular season champions right in the press release.
Baby steps. I love it. I love whatever it is. We will take it.
Here's the line. I'm going to read it. It also includes the payout for a regular season championship, which will be introduced this year and will be awarded to the regular season points leader in the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. NHRA is set to award almost $400,000 of additional perch to the regular season champions in Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and Pro Stock Motorcycle. So obviously Top Fuel and Funny Car are going to get the lion's share of that. And then Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle will get their fraction of it, but it feels like it would be at least six figures.
It is awesome. Listen, we've had these meetings with them behind the scenes, and we work hard and they work hard, and we're working so well together. It's awesome. We're at a very transitional period for NHRA Drag Racing. We've seen, I'm talking on WFO, like we just talk, right? I may be in trouble for some of this. I don't know, Joe.
No, you're fine. We keep it real here.
Listen, we see what IndyCar has done. They're coming on Fox and the Super Bowl ads and all the stuff that they're doing, the NASCAR on a bunch of different streaming apps, ones that you would never expect, much like football did with Amazon, right? There's some things behind the scenes. We shot a reality show year before last for a streaming service that has a very cool motorsports documentary series. I'll just say that right now. And it's a very cool thing. It's me and about 4 other drivers. And I hear things are good. So you just don't know. It's a very, very important time in our sport right now. We've got great people in NHRA working at it. And I can't wait. Little announcements like that are awesome. So it's a group effort. And it's all for the fans. I'm like, what we got to grow, but we have to keep drag racing what it is. And we got to make the old school fans just as happy as we make the ones that flip on the TV, or maybe they're watching an NFL game and all of a sudden it rolls right into their NHRA Drag Racing on Fox. And they go, wow, what is this? This is cool. So big, a lot of excitement.
You teased like you were going to drop some sort of big knowledge bomb, and then I don't know if you did.
I don't know either.
What were you saying? It's important. I think you're teasing the fact that maybe one of these streaming things might be a part of the next big television package. We are on WFO. I can get in trouble too, Ron. This is a big year. This is the next negotiation. Look what they've done, what Fox has done for IndyCar. Right? Like, we need a drag racing promotional commercial in the Super Bowl, man. We need that, because no offense, but our guys are cooler than Joseph Newgarden. And I love the guy, but our guys are just as cool. They wear fire suits. They go 100 miles an hour faster. And we need that too.
I had about 50 messages when that ad aired, and it says the fastest motorsport or something at the end of the commercial. And it's like, I used to get on and just blast them, right? Because I'm like, no, you're not. You're not even close to the fastest. But it's okay. We don't know. There's a lot of people wanting drag racing, NHRA drag racing, Fox included. They've been great for our sport. So, there's a lot of cool things. I don't know for sure. I hear them, and I'm on a need-to-know basis. So I don't need to know, but I do. I'm in the know enough. And like I said, we shot a reality documentary style, much like F1 on Netflix. It's been in the can for a year, and it's been hot and cold, and all of a sudden it's pretty hot here lately. So we had a couple CEOs from different very large streaming companies, and I won't mention their names, that were at Dallas and our Vegas and Pomona races. So very, very fun stuff, and it's going to be very cool for our fans, I think, either way, whatever way it goes.
Well, exactly. See, I'll put it out there. I think whoever shows up with the biggest Brinks truck should get it. That's what I'm thinking. I know there's like traditional and the people with the antenna. And I think like 2025, come on, baby. We've got a whole pit area of amazing, interesting stories that have not been mined yet. We're sitting on lithium. It's incredible. We got to do it. All right. I want to let you go, but you keep bringing up stuff. Maddi Gordon. Thought that was a secret. Next thing you know, you're talking about it on every show. We all love Maddi, but what can you tell us, and how much more? What are the contours, and when do we get to find out that it's 2025?
Well, the talks all started with Michael Andretti and us. We have known Michael forever. He's come to the drags. He's always loved. And then the whole F1 thing kind of, happened, I guess, or didn't happen, then happened. So you never know on that end, but we were already, I've been keeping an eye on Maddi, and I wanted to do that. Guido, it's his call on adding a team, and he didn't want to add a funny car. Either did I. We don't want to race each other, but we thought it would be great. And I've watched that family. I've been friends with Doug and Dad, Mike, when he drove the alcohol funny car. So great family from the Central Coast where I'm from. And the two girls, Maddie and Macy, are amazing. They work on the car. They build it. And Napa coming on as the official auto parts was something that was mind-boggling to me. They've never done that before, and they picked our sport. They're going to be in the YES program and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And so it's just a lot of excitement. Right now, I mean, social media, you go around and some of the biggest followers, the people being followed the most and watching their videos and stuff, are these women and girls working on cars. And whether it's in a shop or a garage shop or a hot rod or a race car or putting a camshaft in it, it's fun to watch these girls, and Maddie's just a ball of fire. I love every bit about, reminds me a lot of myself. And I love giving somebody a chance that may never have gotten a chance, that has the talent and the want to do it. And they grew up in the sport. The Gordons did, right? There's so many kids in super comp and alcohol, dragster, and funny car that will never get the chance that I got. And I didn't bring money. Roger Prim hired me because he thought I'd do good in the car. And then Don Prudhomme saw me. He didn't hire me because I had any money. He hired me because he thought I'd do good with the sponsors in the car. And then fast forward to Don Schumacher. I've never had to bring money to a ride. It's very rare. And so I want to pass that on. And I think it's a great opportunity. So to have her, like I said, we've already got some partners. They're very excited. Napa is very, very excited about having her involved. And she's already going to go to some engagements with me with Napa. And, Napa's all about blue collar, Napa Auto Care shops and working on cars. And then, of course, the best parts in the world. So I think it's a good transition for us to add a car. It's just, I need it like I need a hole in my head right now, but I think we have the people to do it. And Guido is the best at that and managing. And, he gets to pick the crew chief and he gets to pick the team. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun process.
You got to grow. That's it. It's, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. It's just sad. We love Maddi. We think she's amazing. And I'm excited about that. Now, you mentioned the Andretti thing. Like, is that hopefully, is it maybe, is it a done deal? Because I believe that would be a tremendous story with the Tony Stewart arrival. And if we could pull in from the open wheel side of thing, like Michael, come on, like Andretti, the biggest name in racing probably, right? Like when push comes to shove, if there's one name at the top of the list of all motorsports, it's probably Andretti.
Yeah. I still talk to Michael. So you never know. Andretti Global is just gone ballistically huge, right? The huge shop in Indy. And we still are talking with them, and you never know. It'd be great to have Andretti caps, that was the idea to have on the dragster, and you never know, they might still want to be involved. And but either way, we're full speed ahead, and we'll just see what happens. We're going to try and win a championship this year. We're going to hopefully make an announcement somewhere around the Indy time with Maddi and announce the partners we're going to have. And then I don't want to interrupt her run for a championship in that car. That's the whole key. And there's such a different car to drive, the dragster and funny car. So we'd like to get her some license runs. Joe Maynard, who's been a longtime friend of mine, and we helped him a lot when he came into the sport, and he's helped me a lot behind the scenes. And he's got an all-woman team now, right, with his two drivers, and Alexa's coming over. So I think that could be fun to add to that. We still share the hospitality area with JCM. So a lot of fun things are going to happen. And it's going to be a long year, but it's going to be a fun year.
Do we have another snake car coming at Indy this year? I mean, you're mining this stuff and it's been great, but are we doing this again? Because people want it. They want it until you're out of material.
Yeah. I said it after the Hot Wheels car. I don't know. And then we went to final with the Army car. I don't know. We'll see. Snake, I think we may see Snake also out a little more at the track hanging out, which would be cool.
Please,
and
please. You can't have enough Snake. You can't have enough Snake. Hey, what did you think? I know you keep up with everything. What do you think of the Bartone A-Fuel funny car going 7 hun quicker than the national record and 7 miles per hour quicker than their own national record? You had to have seen that shot. They tested in Gainesville. First time out, A-Fuel funny car running against Maddi Gordon potentially this year.
Well, they screwed up, first of all. They went so quick and then had people that put it out there. Randy Meyer's been working on that, and he was actually in Bradenton, and I said, hey, man, get that funny car running better so I can hop in there. And he's working on it. But, yeah, I saw it, and I thought right off the bat it was like a comp eliminator thing. I thought, oh, my God, why did they do that? He should have shut it off early. So, I'm sure NHRA guys are like, that might be too quick. And then here we go. So fingers crossed they don't mess with it. It's fun to watch that. But yeah, no surprise, Steve Boggs. Come on. I mean, that guy he's amazing. He's a great dude, but he is masterful with the injected nitro stuff.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Hello, NHRA tech department here.
Yeah.
Wondering, okay, final thought, Ron, then we'll let you go to Cabo. You get your vacation on. Just speak to the WFO universe out there. Get them hyped for the Amalie Oil Gator Nationals. Tell them whatever you want to say. and let's get this season started.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great, exciting couple of weeks coming up. I mean, leading into Gainesville, Gator Nationals, starting there was different, and now I think we love it. With a lot of exciting things. We're going to announce a special car we're going to run in our camp, and it's going to be very different, very cool for the Napa people and Carlisle Tools. And then we go west. We go west for 3 in a row, which is going to be very cool. It's going to Phoenix, Pomona, Vegas. I can't wait to get back west and do that, and then boom, back to Charlotte, and then just wide open. It's just every year, you wonder if it's going to be as exciting. And if Bradenton is any indication, I mean, every category. I was running up to watch Pro Stock, and I don't do that very often because it was it was so fun to watch them throwing down and how close the racing was. And funny cars were just like Pro Stock. It was crazy. So fans are in for a treat. Can't wait. Seems like the world's great right now in the drag race world, and can't wait to kick it off.
Excellent. Yeah. And, we haven't talked since Pomona. Mama Caps, like planes are falling out of the sky right next to her. Craziness.
Yeah, I know.
So glad she's okay.
Here at the house. She's hanging, doing house watching for us. So it was her birthday when we landed from Bradenton. Snake had a party at his house. We were supposed to go there at Waterbed and Richard Tharp and Galvin and all them at the house. And we were just wore out. So we spent Super Bowl watching it. My mom here celebrating her birthday. And so, yeah, that was fun.
Did you have an interest in the game, as a Niners fan?
Yeah, I'm a 49ers fan, so it's NFC. So I was pulling for the Eagles for sure.
Okay. Well, I was pulling for the Eagles as well, even though I'm an AFC guy, because I can't have a team win 3 in a row, like that. No.
You look like an Eagle. You look like you would be from Philly. You got roots there or no?
No, New Jersey.
Okay.
Parents from New Jersey, but I was born in Florida, so I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. We have the perfect season. We went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. We lost the first, won the next 2, including a perfect season. Still what I think is the greatest single.
Every Miami Dolphin fan reads that same crap off every time.
The numbers don't lie, Ron. It's hard to argue.
No, I love it.
Yeah. That's all we got.
It's like you don't even have to blink. You got it right there, man.
And then I could drop some Dan Marino stats on you, but I'll let you go. Enjoy Mexico. Thank you for spending a little time with us. Congratulations on your win. I'm really excited about Funny Car and the whole NHRA Mission Foods season. And, what's happening in Florida with drag racing this whole month. Very excited. I am getting ready. I want to show you my car, man. You've never seen this. Look at that. Oh, that's Project Pontiac.
Nice.
Going to try to run Lucas Oil Series.
How quick does it go?
We don't know. It's got a new engine. Should be mid-9s. Mid-9s. Weighs 3,200 pounds. Heavy car. Going to run in Super Street, the 1090 index of the Lucas Oil Series category. But I'm thrashing. The reason we're pre-recording is I am working on the car, trying to get it ready to get out there to the track. So I too will be racing a little bit this year. Should be fun.
Love it, man.
Say hi and happy birthday to Bill.
Let's see your fingernails real quick. Are they dirty like mine?
No, not at the moment. But wear these gloves, dude. I put the gloves on like crazy.
Oh
I'm going through the gloves. I can't. The ladies don't like when there's anyway. Let's just.
Maddi Gordon's got dirty fingernails. I bet
she does. I've seen her definitely. They are, but anyway, they're all broken off. All right, Ron.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I love being on the show, and you bring the good mojo for us. So hopefully that transfers into our Gainesville weekend.
We have the best sport in the world. We have the best personalities in the world. We've got the most variety of people in all of motorsports. This sport has got to take off at some point. It's just a matter of time. I'm thinking this is the year.
By the way, I have a football I'm looking at from a certain fullback that played for the Miami Dolphins. Absolute stud.
Zonka?
Who I went and did,
Not Larry Zonka.
Yep.
Get out.
I got to do about 5 different appearances for him when he had the fishing show that Napa sponsored. And you talk about fanboy, man. That dude is the best.
That's why we were perfect, because you couldn't stop him. It was like the tush push, but without the weirdness. You can't stop the dude.
Stud. Yep.
Kick, Zonka, Morris, Warfield, Bob Greasy. Come on, the perfect Dolphins. The Mendich. All right. Later, Ron. Be good.
Okay, man. Thanks.
Ron Capps with us here on WFO Radio. What? So great. Maybe every interview should be done at 5 a.m. Maybe that's the deal. The secret sauce to the WFO universe could be get the drivers at 5 a.m. before they're thinking about other stuff. What a great interview. Please share the show. Ron Capps, a lot of information there, man. The Andretti thing is being talked about. Michael, let's have a conversation with Mr. Andretti. You may not recall, but I used to spend a lot of time with the Andretti team out when I was at XM Satellite Radio. I really think a presence in NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing would be a tremendous value to Andretti Global. It's not the largest investment, especially if you're talking about Formula One and sports cars, et cetera, and so on. I mean, just the tire bill. But the loyalty and the fandom and the passion that the drag racing community has is just through the roof. And I think you want them on your side. So, Michael, I think you should do it. I think you should partner up with Ron Capps, with Maddi Gordon as your driver and a top fuel dragster, and let's just make it happen, baby. There it is. There's my little note to Mr. Andretti and the Maddi thing, and we got a car coming out, and just a great interview by Ron. Now, I've got some additional comments, some things I want to tell you about, even though we're not taking live comments on the show, but there's some reasoning behind all of that, and we're going to get to that after
Looking
this.
to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF XFit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
Our WFO Patreon community got a special Hear It From Heiner episode to start this season. If you'd like to hear it, you can join our Patreon group. VIPs, basically, look, here's the deal. These are people who love the show. They recognize, just like Ron is a small business owner, that I too am a small business owner, and WFO competes against, MRN radio and PRN and all these giant entities that are creating content. We are in there mixing it up for your ear, for your attention, hopefully drop some knowledge, drop some insight into the world of drag racing on the audience out there, and maybe make you laugh every once in a while. And some of our audience have decided to join Patreon, patreon.com/WFO radio. And we provide extra content. They're getting to hear the Project Pontiac stuff first, but the Hear It From Heiner show with Rob Downing as a guest, Michael Heiner, they broke a rocker arm on the starting line. So Derek Kramer left on 7 cylinders, unfortunately out first round at the SCAG Pro, which is kind of what I wanted to shorten it up to, SCAG Pro, which is, I don't know, kind of has a ring to it to me. We appreciate you if you join the Patreon VIP listener group. Maybe you just want to get some merch. Merch is always on sale. Like, it's a 35% off, all kinds of cool stuff, the WFO universe. But right now, the Project Pontiac shirts are going like gangbusters, and people are supporting the endeavor. Here's a little video of where we're at this moment as the thrash continues. You can see the Wright Trailer's trailer. We're starting to organize some things, added some tools. There's the car. First time the car, the engine, everything has been back to the house all together. That kind of hit me. A little Firebird in the background there. Yes, true Pontiac person. 1998 from a century ago. But this 1978 Pontiac Trans Am, purchased brand new. I was there, one owner car, and we're getting ready. And what does that mean, though? I've never worked, like, this is hard because I just turned 52 years old. I don't think I've ever worked so intensely on any one mission, like every day, 7 days a week, multiple months, focused on one goal. And the goal is to debut at the NHRA Southeastern Division kickoff in Orlando a week from Thursday. They got a test day out there. Got to get this thing running. It's run on the dyno, but we haven't fired it up yet in the car. We're wiring, did a lot of wiring. We got all the systems that are necessary to be competitive in Super Street. Many people have questioned, like, why do you want to run .90 stuff, Joe? And to me, I think it's a tremendous untold story, as much as we try real hard to the folks at NHRA.TV and people at the tracks watching the .90 stuff. Many don't fully grasp the concept of the index and throttle stops and why. And I'm throwing myself into it because I really think that it's one of the best forms of racing, and drag racing in particular. And I'll tell you why. It's because someone like me, with a little help from my friends, can actually do it and put together a car that can contend for an NHRA Wally or even a divisional championship, where in other forms of racing, like maybe I could build a car that could be a grudge car, and I could find 5 guys in my local region that are maybe similar performance level, and we don't know, and we could go out, we could like gamble against each other. I could race like that. Not really appealing to me. Could bracket race at the Big Money Bracket Race Tour. There's a lot of Big Money Bracket Race Tour. You can put together a bracket race car. Certainly intend to do that, because I have greatest respect for bracket racing, bracket racers. It's just that, some people don't understand the whole concept of the throttle stop slows you down a little bit, so you hit the index. And I think we can educate a lot of people, not all people, but you can educate a lot of people. And there's so much racing out there that what happens is you spend your investment, whatever it is, and in your mind, consider what your investment could potentially be, right? Whatever it is. And I'm spending an investment on this deal. But when the investment is spent, whatever the investment is, I'm definitely going to encounter people who have spent a lot more, because I know what my investment is. But I still have a near equal chance to win based on my performance as a driver, as someone who reads the data and programs the car, if you will, to perform, and then my driving talent. If I spend 15 and someone spends 150, our chances of success are still very comparable. Whereas in every other form of motorsports, for the most part, if I spend 15 and someone else spends 150, there's no way to keep up in what we'll call, pure performance drag racing. There's no way. You build a car and you find out that it's not fast enough. What do you do? What do you do? Well, you have to re-engineer everything. And that's just not something that most people can do. That's why bracket racing is a popular thing. That's why index racing is a popular thing, because people want to build a car. Like, I think about Chris Gerritsen, the blind squirrel racing, all the time. He's got a little dragster. He goes down there. He does reverse throttle stop, runs 122 miles an hour. The thing lasts years, and he's racing in his own realm, and he's got a chance to win, finish top 5 in the world, doing his thing. And it's not about, we need a new cam grind. We've got to do R&D. We got to pull that thing out. We're behind. And if you're 10th behind, you're not winning anything. 10th behind. This is why index racing allows people within their own focus to get the job done. So I think we have built a mid-level competitive super street car. And then it's going to be on me to maintain it, to learn how to manage the weather, to learn how to have a great reaction time, to learn how to drive it appropriately, to go into a critical situation and roll to the starting line and deal with the nerves. Like Ron Capps goes to the starting line. He's dealing with nerves. He's dealing with this situation. He's trying to clear his head as a small business owner. Joe Castello is going to be dealing with that same thing. And why am I doing all this, right? Why am I doing all this? I'm doing it so that I can help myself tell the story of the NHRA drag racer even better in 2025. Real excited about the things that are coming up. And you're looking at the car and you're looking at all the people that stepped up to help me out, did something, from John Gadosh to Harry Heads to Edelbrock. Like, that's just in the cylinder head department. It's really been amazing. Later this week, Jimmy Hidalgo Jr. going to be on the show as we continue our Parade of Champions. The Parade of Champions in the Lucas Oil Series. You know, Ron brings up the TV deal. And I'm telling you, this is opinion. And the opinions of the host are not necessarily the opinions of the National Hot Rod Association. For those that don't know, I'm not an employee of NHRA. They hire Castello Media to provide them an announcer at many of their events, and I'm the guy. But, sometimes our opinions aren't necessarily aligned, or maybe they are. They don't always check with me, and I don't always check with them. The NHRA pit area is the greatest source of unmined content. Thinking about the SCAG Pro, Randy Lynn on the microphone during the Sportsman Racing. Randy Lynn did a great job. Very critical. Doesn't care about hurting a racer's feelings. Like if Joe says, that guy did a terrible job, the guy might come up and say like, hey man, how the heck do you know? And then maybe now I'll be able to say, well, because I know. But Randy Lynn knows. She's won the Gator Nationals. She won the 50th Gator Nationals. Come on now. Did a great job. There was a lot of interesting stuff. The personalities. Like, I think that Super Street could be a TV show. I think that Stock Eliminator could definitely be a TV show. I think that seeing Jason Lyne's car, the fish stick on the jib camera, just painting it, if I'm going to give credit where credit is due, or innovation, we've just announced that Richmond is going to have 3 qualifying sessions again this year, and tickets are available at NHRA.com. The new revamped NHRA.com. How about this one for you? Whoever is responsible for removing the pop-up ad on NHRA.com, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The front page of NHRA.com looks like tremendous. But really, that pop-up ad on mobile was like getting me. But look, constant progress is being made. But seeing sportsman cars on the jib cam, the use of the drone, I think like the drone was over the track while cars were going down the track, like low. I thought that was cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want a drone coming through the windshield of Project Pontiac. Like, I don't want that. That would be annoying. But I kind of like risk and development and trying things. And that's where we're at. So let's set the scene for the start of the season as we get ready for the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Before we do that, though, I do want to mention Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, 817-924-6821. Marvin roasts coffee from around the world. Everybody loves coffee for the most part. I'd say like 70% of the people have to start their day with a little bit of coffee. You got to try the Rodak's, guys. 817-924-6821. Hot sauces, spice rubs, grills, tools, tips, information, but it's the coffee that keeps me coming back. And Marvin, he's an amazing person. And we love the guy. So if you have not yet tried Rodak's coffee, call yourself Marvin, 817-924-6821. Order a couple of pounds. The biggest issue with the Rodak's is the shipping, honestly. So you got to maximize it. So you can do it in one of those big flat rate boxes. You got to order more. Like when I order Uber Eats, I usually get myself like 3 meals. I get 3 because that way it diminishes the opportunity cost with the delivery charge, right? They bring me food for the next couple of days and I'm eating. Does that make me cheap? I think it kind of does. But it is what it is. You got to think smarter. 817-924-6821, Marvin Rodak. And then, of course, our great friends at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, frankhawley.com. Drive a dragster this year, guys. Drive a dragster. You driving a dragster, experiencing it, showing up with nothing but the clothes on your back and leaving with an experience of a lifetime you'll be talking about forever. And you'll be able to appreciate the sport that we all love just like I'm trying to get into the driver's seat. You will too. FrankHawley.com. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Yes, the Foggett spray, big part of Project Pontiac. Gary Stinnett, available at Summit Racing Equipment. It's built with Summit. Go to Foggett.com. Bernie Speed Shop. The Fan Fest for the Gator Nationals is the Wednesday before. I can tell you I've already been, trying to strategize the WFO universe to be there. Josh Hart said he's going to set up the drum kit and he's going to play the drums. I don't know if that's still the deal. Made the final round at the SCAG Pro, and they are looking for inventory. Do you have a classic? Do you have a muscle car? Do you have an exotic car that's sitting in the garage? It's going to be a barn find in 20 years when, you kick the bucket, your kids don't even know it's there. Get rid of it now. Call the guys at Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com, Josh Hart and the team. HusseyPerformance.net, David Allen. They're not just copperhead gaskets anymore, and they've got a contingency program for top alcohol dragster, top alcohol funny car, some PDRA stuff as well. Call David Allen, and he gives me his cell phone number. Can you believe this? 724-318-8292. Tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio and order those gaskets, oil pan gaskets, valve cover gaskets, whatever gaskets you need. We needed some exhaust gaskets for Project Pontiac. I was like, yeah, we need it. Boop, boop. And they showed up. CWT Industries, of course, balance machines. If you have a balance machine and it's an old school machine, it's taking too much time and it's not accurate enough. The modern stuff, much better. Think of everything else in your life. It's same is true for balance machines. Randy Neal, CWTindustries.com. Of course, our great friends at FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, Total Seal Piston Rings. New episode of Hidden Horsepower getting ready to drop real soon. Scott Schafferoff. We're working on it. And Jesse Converters. How about Matt Latino? His dad, Eric, says, you know what, Matt, you're ready. Get in there. And he runs the SCAG Pro, shook the tires first round, and was like pushing the clutch, coasted down. That's how you know a smart driver. When even in their youth, the early part of the learning curve of driving, they know when to not keep the pedal down. That's how you know. And a couple final notes. Obviously, Troy Coughlin Jr. wins Pro Stock. And Sean Reed, Rob Wendland. Remember how they finished last year? They finished strong. The first half of the season, Sean was getting beat up on the starting line, losing by a couple of thou here or there. Second half of the season, turned it around, and then comes out, makes a statement in Bradenton. I'm real excited to have them on the show next week, and I can announce that. That's the plan for next week, and that will be right before Speed World Orlando. So here's the deal. We're about a week away from divisional racing in Florida. Orlando Speed World. If you're anywhere near there, you should come out to the divisional races. Like, where else are you going to see such high quality cars? Stockers, super stockers, comp eliminator cars, no alcohol cars in Orlando. That'll be not this coming weekend, the following weekend. Then immediately after that, Baby Gators, where they're going to be running class eliminations for the Gator Nationals. Project Pontiac, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Going to run at both of those races and then go in the box for the Gator Nationals. But this is the start of the season. This is what we've got going. We're not done with our parade of champions. Jimmy Hidalgo Jr., Stock Eliminator World Champ, Super Stock World Champ, battled Joe Sorensen down to the wire. Joe Sorensen is the Stock Eliminator Champ. Great interviews. We've had Cody Weber. We've had Colby Fuller. We've had Joe Sorensen. We've had Sean Bellemere. The Bellemere interview, he told us all about what was about to happen. What do we think of that? There's a problem. Honestly, it is a problem. Ron Capps is right. There's a problem. 700 quicker than the record that they set themselves. Is that the potential of these? How do you slow them down? And I don't know. The NHRA Tech Department's going to have to figure it out, because you're going to kill the rest of the alcohol funny car class, because people are going to be like, well, we can't do that. But boy, was it cool. 283 miles an hour. And Sean put it all out there on WFO Radio. And on that note, right down there, guys. No, I guess it's right down there, guys. Click the bell on YouTube. Subscribe. We're trying to come up on the next big milestone. Got to break through that big milestone. We're growing our subscriber base all the time. We've got our audio-only podcast. We've got YouTube. The podcast is Apple's Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud. We've got our Ignition podcast. It's audio only for those folks. You don't see that on YouTube. If you were a Patreon, you'd get to see it on the Patreon page. But then the YouTube channel, where we're going to be dropping Project Pontiac videos. The PRI video is coming out when I post it. I got it. I just got to post it. When's the right time to post anyway? And we're going to do the Baby Gators, it's looking like. So thanks to Ron Capps. Always love the preseason conversation with Capps. It's a yearly tradition. Those are all in the archive, guys. And you can always email me, joe@wforadio.com, or reach out on the social media. WFO Joe on X, WFO Radio on Instagram. We're everywhere. Thanks to Ron. Appreciate everybody. Have a good day. Sorry for the pre-record, but we got to work, baby.